For decades, the highest point on Earth remained untouched. Many tried. Some came close. Some never came back. But in 1953, everything changed. Two men stood at the edge of history, just a few steps away from a place no human had ever reached before. One was a beekeeper from New Zealand, the other a Sherpa from Nepal who had spent his life in the mountains. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Their journey to that moment wasn't simple. Everest had already defeated multiple expeditions. Harsh weather, avalanches, and the brutal altitude had turned climbers back again and again. It wasn't just about strength, it was about timing, teamwork, and a bit of luck. In 1953, a British expedition led by John Hunt set out with one clear mission: reach the summit. The team worked their way up the mountain step by step, setting camps, fixing ropes, and preparing the route. Each member played a role, but in the end, only a few would get the chance to make the final push. Hillary and Tenzing were chosen. On May 28th, they made their move toward the summit, climbing higher than they ever had before. That night, they camped just below the final stretch, knowing that the next day could change everything. Morning came. The conditions were cold but stable, rare for Everest. It was their chance. They began the final climb. Every step was a struggle. The air was thin, their movements slow. One of the biggest challenges stood in their way, a near-vertical rock face, now known as the Hillary Step. It was the last major obstacle before the summit. Hillary carefully found a way up, cutting steps and pulling himself higher, while Tenzing followed closely behind. It was risky, exhausting, but they made it past. And then, there was nothing left above them. On May 29, 1953, at around 11:30 a.m., Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay stood on the summit of Everest. For the first time in history, humans had reached the highest point on Earth. There were no crowds, no long lines, no noise, just two men and the sky. They spent only a few minutes at the top. Tenzing left chocolates as an offering. Hillary took photographs. There was no long celebration because they both knew the truth. Getting down was just as important. They began their descent, carrying with them a moment that would change mountaineering forever. When the news reached the world, it spread like wildfire. It wasn't just a victory for the expedition, it was a victory for human determination. But there was one question everyone kept asking: who stepped on the summit first? For years, Hillary and Tenzing gave a simple answer: they reached it together. Later, Hillary admitted he had stepped up first, but it never really mattered. Because this wasn't a story about one man. It was about partnership, trust, and pushing beyond what people believed was possible. Their success opened the door for future climbers. What was once thought unreachable became a goal for thousands around the world. But even today, Everest hasn't become easy. The risks are still there. The mountain is still unforgiving, and the summit still demands everything from those who chase it. Hillary and Tenzing didn't just climb a mountain. They proved that even the highest limits can be broken if you're willing to take the first step.